We've got Dr. Robert Shepard with us, and Bob, tell us the 5 secrets to better bow hunting.
Well, five, I would say that the first is to learn how to shoot your bow well. Doesn't have to be a heavy bow. You just simply need to be able to hit well with it. So I like to be able to look at it this way. Get a bow and a setup that you can easily draw the bow without having to make any over gestured movements in the process of drawing. Second is learn to be able to recognize a good place when you see one, and we've got books that'll help you with that. Third would be that
You're talking about a good place to see a deer,
to
right?
see a deer exactly.
Good spot to have your tree stand hung.
That's right.
Okay.
The third probably most important thing is to be able to hunt in a place where there are deer, where you have good deer population. And fourth would be to be able to hunt in a place where the wind is set up right for the place you're hunting. In other words, you want to basically be able to hunt a cold weather. So you want to be able to approach the place from the south side, walking north, walking with the wind into your face to set up. And the fifth would be what I just said a second ago, and that is hunting during cool weather.
Bob, tell us 5 more secrets to better bow hunting.
Well, uh, probably the if I had to take all of the factors that make the most difference in being able to come home with a deer with a bow, hunting where there's a good deer population is, you think of that as being kind of obvious, but it's really not. A lot of us spend a lot of time trying to take a deer with a bow in a place where the deer population is 1 for 50 acres, and it's just simply going to be difficult under those circumstances until you really begin to get good at bow hunting. So I would say hunting in a place where the deer population is good, like a deer for 5 acres, a deer for 10 acres, in that range. The second most important is when you hunt the place. In other words, be able to hunt it in a situation where the weather conditions are good. Weather conditions are what drive daytime deer movement. You want to be able to hunt a place when it's cold. Now, cold means relatively cold. In other words, during the first part of the bow season in Alabama, when, say, the temperature has been running in the mid 70s to 80, and it drops all of a sudden overnight into the 50s, that's cold weather. That's cool weather. But if it's in the middle of January and it's been running in the 40s, then you need a drop into the 20s to be able to see that flurry of daytime deer movement. But cooler weather probably is the most important thing secondary to hunting in a good place. Third would be just simply being able to recognize a good place in the woods when you find one, and don't overhunt that place. In other words, I like bottlenecks. I don't tend to hunt food sources because if you think about it, when a deer gets up, they tend to be nocturnal animals, so they're feeding during the nighttime hours predominantly, so that they start their nocturnal movement in the late afternoon, evening hours of the day. So most of their movement is going to be late in the evening and early in the morning, and then through the nighttime hours. So being able to recognize a place where you are closest to the place where they've spent their daytime hours, so that you catch them when they first get up in the afternoon. In the morning, you got to reverse that process. You got to be able to get where the deer is not only going to come from the feeding area back towards the bedding area, but you need to have your approach be the opposite as well. In other words, you can't walk from a feeding area, like, say, a cornfield, through an open hardwood bottom over next to a clear cut where the deer is going to spend his daytime hours. You're just going to push him right in ahead of you. So you have to then turn your afternoon hunting around completely and approach it from the other angle or from the other direction. In other words, you need to come in from the bedding area. The problem with that is that if you then do that in cold weather, that means you are no longer walking from the south to the north. So you can't hunt the same place in the morning and the afternoon usually and be effective, certainly with a bow. You can with a gun, but you can't pull it off with a bow.
What's number 4?
Number four would be learning to recognize a good place, like a bottleneck, when you see one in the woods.
All right, and number 5.
Number 5 would be probably learning to recognize when to take the shot. As we talked about at other times and earlier, you want to be able to learn when to take the shot, when to move, when to stay still. And so learning to take the shot basically is when the deer is moving, you move. When the deer is standing still, you stay still.
Okay.